Big Ten expansion rumors. So one of the reasons why we started the show late is because I received information that, and it's kind of public, some people know about it, but the North Carolina had a board of trustees meeting last night. So Monday night, they had a board of trustees meetings, and one of the conversation pieces on the docket was to talk about conference expansion. They want out of the ACC, and the conference that they want to go to is the Big Ten. No shock there, right? There's been plenty of rumors swirling on about that. And what the holdup was that I heard, and I don't, like I said, I don't have much more information than this, but what I have heard is that the thing holding them up is that North Carolina wants NC State to come with them to the Big Ten. Kind of like a USC, UCLA situation to where they're rivals, but they're in the same state and they kind of want to figure this out together. But the Big Ten is saying no. The Big Ten says, no, we do not want NC State. They don't bring enough value. They're from the same state as you, and so we're not going to receive as many benefits of, some of the TV revenue and things like that. And so there is a bit of a stand still here, but currently the way it is projected out, the Big Ten wants to accept North Carolina and Florida State together. B-Sol, I don't have any questions. What are your thoughts?
I'm JR. I'm gonna throw it back to an episode of the Scoop back that we had done previous right before the Big Ten accepted a handful of the 4 Pac-12 teams. When all the speculation came out, and one thing that I pointed to then, and I'm going to bring it up now, the one thing that our conference can say that nobody else can is we are coast to coast. We are nationwide. And so the only real part that we are missing is that Florida and kind of that Southeast dynamic there. So for the Big Ten to sit here, and let's say, again, we're ready to accept North Carolina and Florida State. Florida State's probably itching to take this opportunity. North Carolina says, well, wait a second. We don't want to leave our little brother here. Well, at the end of the day, the Big Ten's going to, nix North Carolina to the side. There's other teams in this conference that will meet the metrics that the Big Ten wants to bring over. If our goal is 2 more, why not nix North Carolina, bring Florida State, and, who do we go to then? Is it a Clemson? Is it, a Miami? Or do we go the other route and try and get Notre Dame out of their basketball contract with the ACC and pull them in because they fit right in the middle of what the Big Ten wants to be anyway?
Yeah, no, those are good thoughts. T-Sol, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm personally the guy, I think, take them all. Just become the NCAA at this point. I mean, just take everybody, throw them in the bucket, and you'll beat the SEC just based on that way. But the way I see it, North Carolina, sure, yeah, come on. Hey, does Clemson want to come? Yeah, I'm cool with that. Boston College, you too? Florida State, Miami? Why not? Take them all. I don't care. More money.
The academic requirements, T-Sol,
What are those?
Clemson's not smart enough. At least that's what I've heard. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I do like, T-Sol's their reverse Pangea, where it's just like, everybody comes together and it's just the Big Ten now. But, to B-Sol's point, getting a footprint even down in, the South and Southeast, we saw when Nebraska kind of went away from the Big 12, they lost Texas as a pipeline state, just because of the nature of being in the Big 12 conference, ties to the Texas. If we get ties down to those southern states, Florida being a big one for talent too, that opens up a potential pipeline there for recruiting for the rest of the Big Ten conference goes. So there's just a little silver lining potentially there with that switch. But in general, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's an arms race, right? So if you can get them to meet your whatever academic requirements you have, because at the end of the day, the Big Ten, what they pride themselves on is prestige. And I think that's why in the world of the SEC kind of dominating the college football world, the Big Ten has still been able to be kind of the gold standard as far as just overall across the board. Like the Big Ten is I feel like the more prestigious in terms of just everything. And so if they meet the academic requirements and they are big schools like this, I say even more the reason to bring them in, because at this point, what does it become? It's become bragging rights between the SEC and the Big Ten. It's just become, we have this many blue bloods. We have this many blue bloods. We have this schools that make this much money. We have this schools that make this much money. And all of these are going to help us on the TV deals in the future and all of that. So I say if they can get a big school in to meet their academic requirements, bring them in. But yeah, the in North Carolina trying to be like, we want NC State in here. Like, you don't have the leverage here. Like, you need us more than we need you. So you could figure that out and get back to us. But so on that, if they're going to play hard to get with that, yeah, go get Florida State and then dive in and get somebody else. I don't want Clemson though, because I don't want to listen to Dabo, ramble on for 20 minutes about NIL every time he talks. But yeah, a Notre Dame would be a great one.
It feels like to me, like, when we were younger and we would go play our baseball games and stuff like that, and mom and dad would take us, and maybe you asked before the game or after the game, like, can we go get ice cream afterward? Like,
yep.
And mom and dad were like, no, it's not happening.
Yep.
It's like, it's cute you asked, but no, that's not happening.
Yep.
It feels like North Carolina asking the Big Ten, like, can we get ice cream afterward with our friend NC State? And
yeah, no, you're grounded.
Like I said, it's cute you asked, but no. I see what you're saying, T-Soul, and part of me agrees with that. But the other part of me, I do like this like prestigious element, and maybe it's just like the snotty person in me, I guess. I don't know, but I kind of like this prestigious element where it's like, we're just going to choose the people that we think are best. Because like the Big 12 down there, they're gobbling up anybody they can. They're like, oh, Utah, you want to come in? Sure. Arizona, you want to come in? Sure. Like, anybody, yes, please come join us. Because we want to stay alive, and we're going to try to get as many people as possible.
I think that's what helped the Big Ten when they were negotiating TV deals and why they ended up with a better one.
Right. Because they went through and they said, who are good brands to bring in? USC, good brand. UCLA, good brand. For as much as the crap talking we just did about Oregon a little bit, Oregon, good brand. I think Oregon's probably the best addition out of anybody. USC obviously has the bigger TV market, bigger area and stuff. But the one I'm most excited about getting is Oregon, because I feel like they bring the most kind of cachet and prestige and stuff like that into the conference with them. And then, of course, Washington, too. The timing of it, them just going to the national championship. I loved it. I loved saying it was an all Big Ten national championship.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, this team is literally going to be in the Big Ten next year. And, anything I can do to kind of rub it in the SEC's face a little bit, I'm good with that.
It's the thing about that the Pac-12, I think, and like Oregon is bringing to the Big Ten. Like, you don't have a ton of blue bloods over there, right? You got USC. That's it. So they're bringing a little bit of flash and, that type of stuff. Oregon is, of course, they had their uniforms and stuff like that, and they've been good, but they haven't gotten over the hump, And so maybe this pairing is what they need to kind of get over the hump, but I think it's another one of those things where it's just like, you look at it and you have the blue bloods and the established these programs over here, and then you have these up and coming coaches and these universities that have a lot of backing, a lot of fan base, a lot of resources, and they're going to be able to come over here and bring that. So I think overall, as mad as Oregon fans may be, I think it's a good pairing overall, and I think it's going to work out for both sides in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it helps Oregon because it gives them a better platform to play their, football on, TV wise, and, argue about competition all we want or whatever. But at the end of the day, the Big Ten has more fans than the Pac-12 did. It's just a fact. More people wanted to watch the Big Ten. You can argue about the timing of it, but just the fact TV numbers show the Big Ten has far more fans than the Pac-12 did. And then in addition to that, it helps the Big Ten because the Big Ten can continue to be that prestigious element. And to me, both North Carolina and Florida State do that same thing. Florida State and North Carolina both bring larger fan bases that are going to help the Big Ten. And at the end of the day, the Big Ten helps both of them by giving them a more stable platform. Let's end with this question because I just thought about it. And T-Soul, we'll start with you. I know you want everybody in, but if there could just be one team or two teams, I guess you have to pick two to kind of pair them together, to bring in from anywhere but the SEC, who would be those two teams that you would want into the Big Ten?
JR, give me Miami and give me Colorado. We're taking our rivals back.
Do we rescind it if
I
Deion's
don't
not
want to
there?
deal with Dion that much.
Oh, we want to deal with Dion. Trust me.
Okay.
We want to deal with Dion. Imagine him getting smacked around in the Big Ten.
I mean, it would be fantastic. I just don't want to listen to him that much. I already have to listen to him enough.
Justin, who are your two?
UTEP. No, I'm just playing. I'm trying to make it easier on us all. Just off the top of my head, without thinking, I just kind of like the combo that Beasel came up with a little bit ago. Notre Dame is a team that I'd love to have in there in terms of just prestige, and just Notre Dame's always the odd one out in any conversation, because just weird like that. Like, and they're also the one that doesn't get a lot of respect because they typically, will drop a game here and there, and they don't have anybody else to back them outside of Notre Dame fans, So I think that pairing would work out. I think they fit what the Big Ten wants. They're a huge brand, a ton of money. And then, getting the team like, I kind of, more so than Florida State, Teasel, I do like the Miami a little bit more, just because rivalry there. Miami is, for what it's worth, I the only thing I think about Miami that the Big Ten won't like is just their reputation of not being, we know Miami's reputation. So I think that would be the only hindrance there. So just realistically, Florida State, maybe Notre Dame.
Yeah. Biso, what do you think?
Yeah, I think those two would be the most logical expansion teams, especially when you know that the ACC is going to be the next kind of conference to crumble there. And I think that's going to be the domino that once that starts and teams start bailing, that's when Notre Dame will be able to get out of that that basketball deal that they're locked into there. But how funny would it be? And just bear with me here. I know it's not going to happen, but basically, what if the Big Ten looked at North Carolina and they were like, sorry, you're asking too much. We're not going to do you any favors, this and that. So they boot them, they take Florida State, and then they're like,
we'll take NC State.
I was going to say, Iowa, you've been very loyal. We're going to bring in Iowa State. That way you've got your in-state rival, just to like throw salt in the wound. And then the North Carolina is stuck on the sinking ship.
Then the Big Ten would be like, oh, now we're stuck with Iowa State.
Now we've got Iowa State. Nobody wants them.
That's like asking your parents before the baseball game to get ice cream. And then
right.
Like, oh, you want ice cream? No, we're not going to the baseball game at all now. No. You don't get to play baseball.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, Notre Dame would be in there, but I'm also kind of mad at Notre Dame because they're kind of uppity and stuff like that. And, I don't really like that. So inside, I pick Notre Dame, but outwardly, I'm not going to pick them because, I don't want to conform to that. But Florida State's definitely my top one. And then my other one, I know it sounds crazy, but I'd love to see Georgia Tech in the Big Ten, fit down there a little bit more in the SEC. I think Georgia Tech has more fans than people realize. I know they're not a great school for a football program, but they are a great school. They're a great academic school. But
Georgia Tech gave us Jeff Sims. I will reserve. I won't.
But don't you want the chance to beat them up a little bit for that?
I'll talk about them next year. I'm still upset.
Don't you want the chance to beat them up a little bit though for doing that?
I want no part of it. Jeff Sims gone. That's it.
Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.